Lucifer, the guardian cherub. What was the specific purpose for creating Lucifer? After God made Adam and Eve and placed them in the Garden of Eden, He did not abandon them there alone. God placed a powerful guardian angel over them to watch and protect them. This powerful cherub that God made and placed in the garden to watch over them is called Lucifer. Ezekiel 28:13-15 reveals details to us. You were in Eden, the garden of God. Every precious stone adorned you: carnelian, chrysolite and emerald, topaz, onyx and jasper, lapis lazuli, turquoise and beryl. Your settings and mountings were made of gold. On the day you were created, they were prepared. You were anointed as a guardian cherub, for so I ordained you. You were on the holy mount of God. You walked among the fiery stones. You were blameless in your ways from the day you were created till wickedness was found in you. Pay attention to the phrase, you were in Eden, the garden of God, telling us that Lucifer was placed and positioned in the Garden of Eden by God. The sentence, on the day you were created, they were prepared. You were anointed as a guardian cherub, for so I ordained you, tells us that Lucifer was created, anointed, and ordained by God to be a guardian cherub, that is, a guardian angel, over Adam and Eve in the Garden of Eden. Many people think that Lucifer was residing in heaven with God, but that is incorrect. Others even say that Lucifer was in charge of music in heaven. That is greatly incorrect as well. No scripture supports these false teachings and doctrines. Pay close attention to those verses above. It states, you were in Eden, the garden of God, and then, on the day you were created, they were prepared. You were anointed as a guardian cherub, for so I ordained you. This tells us that Lucifer was specifically created, anointed, and ordained by God for a specific purpose, and he was placed in a specific location for that very mission. That location is the Garden of Eden, and his mission was to be the guardian angel, cherub, over Adam and Eve. Lucifer's territory was not in heaven, but in Eden, on this earth and in this universe. For those who may be wondering about the incident that happened in heaven regarding Michael fighting and overcoming Satan, as recorded in Revelation 12:7-9, we shall explain that in a subsequent paragraph. So Lucifer, a cherub, was there amid Adam and Eve, guarding and watching over them in the garden. Isaiah 14:12 refers to Lucifer as the day star, or son of the morning, or son of dawn. He was called those beautiful names because his appearance was full of brilliance and glamour. Lucifer knew good and evil, but Adam and Eve did not. Lucifer, like other angels with the knowledge of good and evil, is forbidden from doing evil. Anyone with the knowledge of good and evil must never do evil. Otherwise, the consequence of evil, sin, is death. Romans 6:23 declares, for the wages of sin is death. Lucifer knew this, so he must not commit evil and disobey God, since he has the knowledge of good and evil. As mentioned earlier, the knowledge of good is to know how a particular act can benefit someone when acted upon, while the knowledge of evil is to know how a particular act can hurt someone when acted upon. Anyone who has this knowledge must never do evil, but good. As Lucifer watched over and guided Adam and Eve year after year, something eventually happened. This event altered God's amazing plan and turned it in a whole new direction. Remember that the tree of the knowledge of good and evil was in the midst of the garden. God had warned Adam and Eve not to eat the fruit from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. He emphasized the seriousness of this warning by letting them know that the consequence of eating from the tree would be death. Genesis 2:17 says, but you must not eat from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, for when you eat from it, you will certainly die. Why did God warn them not to eat from the tree? It was not the right time yet for them to eat from the tree and possess the knowledge of good and evil. There is a time and season for everything under the sun, according to Ecclesiastes 3:1, and in God's divine arrangement, it was not the right time for them to eat and possess the knowledge yet. God did not want them to eat from the tree yet, because if Adam and Eve ate from the fruit and possessed the knowledge of good and evil, they would become accountable for all their actions from that moment onward. From that moment onward, if they did any wrong, it would be charged against them as a sin. And remember that the wage of sin is death, Romans 6:23. So, to avoid sin being charged against them, and to prevent them from the consequence of death as a result of sin, God decided that they should not eat from the tree at that moment until the appropriate and appointed time by God arrived. This act of God preventing Adam and Eve from eating from the tree shows how much He loves them and the greatness of His affection toward them as His children. For as long as Adam and Eve do not know of good and evil, no sin will ever be charged against them. But if they possess the knowledge, they become accountable for every one of their actions. This is why God told them not to eat from it. If you are wondering why God said they would surely die if they ate from it, here's the reason. They would surely die because after eating from the tree and possessing the knowledge of good and evil, they would surely end up committing one sin or another, or even multiple sins. When they do, the sin will be charged against them since they now possess the knowledge. Once sin is charged against them, they will surely die because the wages of sin is death. Based on this reality, we can clearly see and agree that eating from the tree will surely result in their death. This is why God said, "When you eat from it, you will certainly die." And God was right. He was telling the truth. On an equal ground, Lucifer will surely die if he did evil, since he too possesses the knowledge of good and evil. The same punishment that Lucifer would receive if he disobeyed is the same punishment Adam and Eve would receive if they disobeyed. Many people see this warning that God gave to Adam as a trap or a test of obedience. That is not true. God was simply protecting them in love from attaining the knowledge at that early stage and bringing guilt on themselves. God knows that if they were to eat and possess the knowledge, they would surely commit sin and become guilty of sin. If they become guilty of sin, they will surely die, since death is the penalty for sin. So God was only protecting them and warning them ahead of time that if they ate from the tree, they would surely die. Not because the tree has the power to kill, but because sin and death will surely be the outcome in the end. Remember that Lucifer is an angel, which means he is a spirit. His presence in the Garden of Eden was not physical for Adam and Eve to see, but spiritual and unseen. Adam and Eve could only see him whenever God opened their eyes to do so. This is the same way God also assigns His unseen angels today to watch over us, as recorded in Psalm 91:11-12. For He will command His angels concerning you to guard you in all your ways. They will lift you up in their hands so that you will not strike your foot against a stone.